been with us for all of it, and he's here with us right now. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Man, we're riding high. Good Seahawks win on Sunday, and the Mariners have won 9 straight. They roll into your town now. Tell me about the Royals. We asked you about them a couple weeks ago, whether or not they were a contender, and you kind of like, probably not, maybe, whatever. Like, where are they at now? Are they still trying hard? Do they still think they have a shot? Have they given up? What should we expect to see from the Royals this week?
I don't think they think that they have a shot, because I think they're frankly being realistic. And if you look at the Royals, guys, it's a marvel they are where they are, considering that their ace Cole Reagans has been on the injured list most of the season with a shoulder injury. Their all-star Chris Bubich out for the season with a shoulder injury. The guy who they signed right before the trade deadline, Seth Lugo, on the injured list. Their number 4 starter, Michael Wacha, who's been awesome this year, on the injured list. And so they're running out of rotation right now that, frankly, just has like a bunch of rookies and Michael Lorenzen. And I think you guys are going to miss Noah Cameron, too, which is a good thing because he's a rookie left-hander. Stuff's not great or anything, but he's got a 2.98 ERA over 127 innings this year. And he can really pitch. So the Mariners are running into the Royals in good time. They are banged up and they are inconsistent as it gets when it comes to hitting. And I'm not saying that this streak is going to continue because I'm done predicting anything with this freaking team. I'm done going out there and talking about how they're a World Series contender and then having to walk it back by calling myself bubonic plague. And then immediately after I determined that I was indeed the plague, they go out and win 9 in a row. This team doesn't make sense. I'm done trying to figure them out. I'm just going to sit around and enjoy watching them play baseball.
Would you like to host a radio show where you get to talk about them every day and give assumptions and takes on what they're doing and what it means? Because it's been really fun, Jeff. If you have any interest, there's a position. You could come here and give a take on them literally every day for 4 hours.
There are many reasons that I could not do your job. That might be at the top. Trying to assign meaning to individual games or individual weeks or even months with this team is just, it has to be infuriating because you never know what you're going to get. Like, guys, last week when we talked, I think they had won 3 in a row, right? Mm-hmm. And you were starting to feel good about it again. And I always judge when I come on this show what it's going to be like depending on what kind of ridiculous streak the Mariners are on at that point. Because it's never just like 1 or 2 losses or 1 or 2 wins in a row. It's like, hey, let's rip off like 11 of 12. Let's go 9 straight wins. Oh, let's lose 8 games in a row just because. Why not? Why don't we just try and give our fans heart attacks every day? Like it is the most nauseating and simultaneously exhilarating ride. And that's baseball, man. And I'm really glad for Mariners fans that I'm not going to say they're there, but they're trending toward what could be a very memorable October.
And if I had told you, Jeff, the old 30 for 30, if I would have told you before this season that old Cal Raleigh was going to hit 54-plus home runs and Josh Naylor was going to steal 30 bags, which would have been a more preposterous thing to possibly happen?
Good Lord almighty. I think Naylor ripping 30 bags, probably.
It really is absurd, isn't it?
I love it. And you know, the part I love the most, it's not like he's going out there every time he gets on base and trying to steal. He's really smart about it, and he's a canny base runner. And the fact that he's got 16 without a single caught stealing so far for the Mariners this season, Like 16 in 44 games, no less. It's just it's ridiculously impressive. And I give the organization actually a lot of credit for acknowledging that this is a part of his game that he clearly takes pride in and is good at and studies and understands as an art. Stealing a base, like I remember there was a baseball writer named Joe Cowley in Chicago, and back in the mid 2000s, right around when the White Sox won the World Series, it was spring training, and for all of those, and I assume that's the vast majority of you who don't understand what baseball writing life is like. It's wonderful in every regard, but there is a time if you're on the beat, and I've been fortunate enough to come in at 23 years old as a national writer and never have to cover a team for 162 games. I don't know if I would have the stamina to do it, but at the end of spring training, man, when you're there for like 6 weeks and you just want to go home, you coming up with whatever story idea you can. And Joe Cowley came up with the idea, I'm going to try to steal a base off A.J. Pierzynski. And A.J. Pierzynski was not a guy who was like renowned for his arm or anything. He had like an average arm. He was a very good big league catcher, but average arm. And there was a pitcher on the mound, and he was checking back over and keeping Cowley on base. And Cowley was thrown out by like 5 steps every single time. Now, I understand this is a sports writer. It's not a professional athlete. It's a little bit different. But the point is, catchers are so good. They are so good at getting the ball from out of their glove into their hand down to second base in less than 2 seconds. And think about if you're standing at first base and you can only get so big of a lead, the kind of jump that you have to have, the kind of timing that you have to get in there 16 times without being caught once. That is what Josh Naylor has done as a Seattle Mariner so far, and that is extraordinarily impressive.
I just laugh every time someone like Robles, for example, gets caught stealing, and I imagine them walking like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, I could beat this guy in a race by 12 steps on the way to second. How am I out? And this guy keeps being safe. It's really, really remarkable. So, all right, let's talk Naylor. I should have texted you this last night to ask the question ahead of time, and I'm sorry I didn't. But we've been sort of going on and off on whether or not what a Naylor extension or contract looks like. Jerry said this week on the MLB Trade Rumors podcast that it's something they're very open to and would like to do it. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. He's such a good fit for the team, for the ballpark. He says he loves to hit in T-Mobile Park and that it's a hitter's park. I mean, like, everything about it seems to work. What do you think it costs?
So before I answer this question, I just looked this up because I did not know it, and it is so much worse than I expected. There are 568 people on StatCast in the big leagues this season who have had their sprint speed recorded. At the top is Trey Turner at 30.3 feet per second, followed by Bobby Witt at 30.2, Victor Scott, Byron Buxton, Derek Hill, like dudes who can move. 568 players. Where do you think Josh Naylor ranks in terms of sprint speed in Major League Baseball?
562.
Rowdy Tellez.
I mean, Rowdy Tellez is 566. Giancarlo Stanton is 564. Alejandro Kirk is 561. Josh Naylor is 559. Josh Naylor is slower than Salvador Perez. What in God's name? He's slower than Gary Sanchez.
He's got 30 bags,
He's slower than Austin Hedges?
Put some respect on this man's name. He's got 30 bags this year.
Bro, he's slower than Rafael Devers.
Yes.
This is a tough one.
It is.
And here's why it's tough. First basemen don't get paid in free agency, right? Like that's just a reality at this point. First basemen do not get paid. Now, I think one good thing that Josh Naylor has going for him is his age, right? I think he's going to be 28. Yeah, he's. I'm looking at a spreadsheet right now. Kylie McDaniel, our intrepid baseball insider at ESPN, does the service of making predictions on all free agents. And I mean, like all of them. We're 100 deep right now, and he's going to keep going. He has Josh Naylor right now ranked as the 18th best free agent in this class, and he has 3 years at $52.5 million.
That is nothing.
Yeah.
That is just for context. When we brought this up, the first text on our thing here says 5 years, 100.
I don't think it's going to be that high.
But I guess what I'm saying is like the willingness of a Mariner fan to be like, I give him $20 million a year for 5 years versus
totally.
what you hear there is amazing.
Yeah, I disagree with Kylie a little bit. We'll have our disagreements on these sorts of things. I think he actually nailed quite a few of these. Mm-hmm. But I think Naylor, in my head, as somebody who just loves the player and loves the all-around game now, didn't think I would ever be saying that about Josh Naylor, but loves the lack of strikeouts, the bat to ball, the ability to drive in runs. But he's a corner bat without elite power. So in my head, I want to say 4 for 80. Right, 20 a year for 4 years. You get him for 2 seasons in his 20s. There's real allure to that. I don't think he's getting 5 years. I just think you look at first basemen, even first basemen who are comparable to him on the free agent market, and they don't get that. I think, and you look at Rhys Hoskins, for example. I think Josh Naylor is a better player than Rhys Hoskins. But I don't think he's that much better a player. When Rhys Hoskins was entering free agency off that platform year, I don't think Naylor's that much better than him. And Hoskins got 2 years for $34 million from the Brewers, rather. So could I see 3 for 52.5? Is that within the realm of possibility? Absolutely. Could I see 4 for 80? Absolutely. But I don't think it's going to take 5. I don't think he gets 5.
Jeffrey, as you look into your crystal ball, 12 games to go. I chatted with our buddy Benetti last night, LT Gray himself. The odds, the opportunity the Mariners have to chase down Detroit, who the Mariners hold the tiebreaker over because of their sweep before the All-Star break. The chance in these final 12 to make up 3 games versus Detroit.
And the way the Mariners are playing right now, who am I to suggest they can't do anything, right? Like, they're just on the kind of heater right now. It reminds me a little bit of Detroit last year. And I know the Tigers or the Mariners this year were not as bad as the Tigers were last year at one point, but they were down bad like the Tigers were. After that great run following the All-Star break, how many weeks was it that they were just playing mediocre baseball? At least 2, right?
3. Yeah, it was probably 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was all on the road, too. It was problematic. 5 and 13 on the road.
I just and maybe this is folly from me, but I look at the schedules, man, and while there's certainly an advantage that the Mariners have playing Colorado for 3 games, and a pretty decent advantage that they have playing Kansas City, even though Kansas City is getting healthy with his pitching right now. And even though Walker looks like he's coming back and Reagans looks like he's coming back, you don't know what you're going to get from either of them. And then Houston, having Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez, like, that's rough. And you have no idea what the Dodgers are going to be doing. If they've clinched at that point, are they going to be sitting guys down? The Tigers, on the other hand, they have 6 games against Cleveland. They have 3 games against a pretty, mediocre at best Atlanta team. And then they finish the season with 3 in Boston. So
the Guardians are a feisty little team, Jeff. I'm surprised you kind of dismiss Cleveland like that.
Why do you hate Cleveland so much?
He's from there.
I know.
Is he?
I don't know. We just saw them a week or 2 ago. I'm not saying they're world beaters, not going to make the playoffs, but
I know
they're not a bad team.
No, they're not a bad team. I can't get on board with teams when I look at the talent that they have, and I'm just like, eh.
Can we talk about Jorge Polanco? We haven't talked enough about him this year, Jeff. We've not done enough to talk about Jorge Polanco, and I haven't run the numbers, but my gut tells me that for all the ups and downs of the Mariners this year, if you needed to come up with something that it was connected to, that there'd be a pretty good correlation between Jorge Polanco being hot and the Mariners being hot and vice versa.
I think that's pretty fair. I'm just looking at splits right now. It's interesting. Jorge Polanco actually has almost as many home runs and losses as he does wins. So, but I will agree with you on this. The Mariners go on heaters when Jorge Polanco goes on heaters, and he's on one in September. Like, he's batting almost 400, and the Mariners, when they had that great run in April, Jorge Polanco was batting 384. His batting average for the other 4 months, 139, 222, 256, 259. And the last couple of months, the slug has been there too. He's had a phenomenal season, and I don't think I was anticipating that, but the fact that he has been out there as much as he has, and I know, like, getting a full season out of Jorge Polanco is a fool's errand, but the fact that they're going to get upward of 500 bats from him, like 500 bats from him this year, that's more than I would have thought. It shows, like, when he is going right. I think you're absolutely right. The Mariners, they're just this is so weird to say, and I'm still getting used to it. It's just such a dangerous lineup, man. It really is. Like, when Polo is playing like he's playing, and J.P. Crawford is toward the bottom of your lineup, and Randy Arozarena is having a great year, and Julio is going 30-30, and Cal's having, the best season ever for a switch hitter among them, the best season ever for a catcher among them. That's a nasty lineup right there, and you add Naylor and Suarez to that. Like, there's a reason that I was as bullish after the deadline on the Mariners as I was, and it's because they are capable of playing the way that they are right now. And all I can hope is that they're not exhausting all of that right now, and they're saving some of it for October.
So you did an exhaustive story on Cal at the All-Star game. We certainly enjoyed that. I'm glad that story came out. The Julio one we're still waiting on 24 months later from spring training. But you did an exhaustive story on Cal. You're going to walk into the clubhouse tomorrow. You're going to go see them in your hometown. Is there going to be anything more to write about Cal? Is there any storyline that you in particular want to dig into and follow? What will we be watching coming out of that experience?
I just got a call from my producer on Baseball Tonight, and he wants me to do an essay on Baseball Tonight this Sunday. So I will be doing a Cal Raleigh essay Sunday. In terms of writing, I think I'm good. I think I'm more in gathering mode for the postseason right now, where I'm going to be up in Bristol for the wild card round, and then I just head out on the road for pretty much the rest of October. And I'm hoping that one of my trips is to Seattle, so I can see Greg Bishop and punch him for doing me dirty on radio.
Mm-hmm. What is an essay on Cal Raleigh? What does that mean? What does that look like?
That means I get to bloviate for 2 minutes about the wondrousness of the dumper and all of the things that he has done, and why perhaps he should be MVP. And
you know what's not? Can I interrupt real quickly? I'm sorry. You know what's not been told? And I went on a rant last week about this because I chatted with a baseball guy that said of all of this with Cal, and everybody sees the home run and the power and the clutch and all of that. Is there some way to tell the story? And he was like, you have a platform every morning to talk about the beating that he takes, the things that you don't see, the things that we don't get to see. Now, our Shannon Dreyer sits with Cal every week and the Cal Raleigh show, and she does an awesome job with him trying to highlight some of that. But from a national perspective, can you just put into frame what this guy does day to day the beating that he takes, Jeffrey, in my estimation, he's a two-way football player. He's got to do things that Aaron Judge and some of his peers don't have to do, and in particular Aaron Judge, who he's in this race with. Is there any way in your platform that you have for that essay to try to showcase to the world how much more is on his plate than some of his peers?
Yeah, I think I can do that. I mean, the numbers tell the story, right? Catcher
kind
is
of the bumps and the bruises don't. The 1,600. How many pitches he takes? I mean, the numbers do tell the story. Those numbers, but not the ones behind the scenes.
And I think that's the point. I mean, Brock, as much as I would love to sit there and wax poetic on bruises on his leg, I'm not sure that's going to be very good. Unless I get an anecdote out of it, I could get a good story there. I think what I mean by the numbers, though, is catcher is the most demanding position in baseball. It's not even close. Catchers play 120 games for a reason, because their bodies are getting beaten up all the time, because they're getting hit by foul tips, because they're getting hit on backswings, because they're blocking balls with their chest and with their legs, because they're getting run into. Like, there are all sorts of perils of being a catcher. And Cal Raleigh has played the most games in the big leagues, with 147 among all catchers, and has the most plate appearances by a catcher by 25 over William Contreras. Next closest is Salvador Perez, who's 60-something behind. After that is Agustin Ramirez, who's more than 100 behind.
It's crazy.
Every day, Cal Raleigh posts. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like, shouldn't he get a breather? He doesn't want one. It's kind of insulting to him, honestly. And Mike, I actually thought you were right. I do think a breather would do him good, but not now.
It's
not
too late now.
At this point. He's got a division to win.
There's no doubt. Yeah, the time for that is in the past, not when you got 12 games left. We should be done, but I got to ask you one more question. And quite frankly, it's what we were about to talk about next. So I don't mind going over by like a minute. But if you could do this somewhat quickly. One thing we have barely talked about with regards to Cal is the switch hitter element of it. And that comes up this week as he ties Mickey Mantle. The next home run will break his record as a switch hitter. How hard is switch hitting? Why? It's amazing to me that Mickey Mantle's the only guy who's at that level of home run prowess as a switch hitter.
I think it's because most switch hitters have a strong side, right, when it comes to power. It's very rare that you find a switch hitter who's got the ability to consistently park the ball from both the right and the left side. And look, there have been some pretty great switch hitters, but when it comes to like raw power, it's Mantle and kind of everyone else. Chipper Jones had power, but he wasn't your bopper. Eddie Murray, 500 home runs. Clearly he had power, but it was more because of the longevity. Lance Berkman, a guy who's probably more of a pure hitter than he was a power hitter. Francisco Lindor. I mean, there have been some great switch hitters, but Cal Raleigh's probably the most all-or-nothing switch hitter that there's been. And the evolution that he's made from the right side over the last couple seasons has been the difference between him being an all-star and a potential MVP.
We used to talk, Brock, about whether or not he could ever get to the Veritek Posada level, and it's amazing right now how far past either of those guys he's gone in terms of his value, in terms of the home runs and everything else. Jeff, sorry to keep you a little extra time. Honestly, I feel like we could go another half hour. It's just too much cool stuff going on with this team here with 12 games to go. But when we talk to you next week, we'll be just a few days away from the end of this season. We'll know a little bit more. We'll talk to you on Tuesday, man. Thank you.
I look forward to talking about 15 straight.
That may very well be the case, or maybe it'll be 6 straight in the other direction.